So you think AI is moving fast now? Well, you might want to buckle up, because we're not just on an exponential path anymore. We're on a super exponential one. By 2026, this incredible acceleration is set to completely redefine what productivity even means. And you know what? It's happening way faster than our brains can really wrap our heads around.
All right, let's get into it. Here's our roadmap. First, we're going to look at some pretty shocking data that proves this new trajectory we're on. Then, we'll see how the tools we have today are already hitting a major tipping point, turning into what you could call a cognitive co-pilot. This all builds up to one single critical question for 2026. And finally, we'll talk about the new power skills you're going to need to really thrive.
To really get a grip on where we're going, we first have to talk about speed. And I mean real speed. The kind of speed that makes you think, wow, 2025 might just be the last normal year we ever see.
Let's kick things off with a question. Sounds simple, right? If you gave an AI a really complex, skilled task, something a person would need hours to do, how long could it actually work on its own before it messes up? The answer? Well, it's pretty mind-blowing.
So this is nonprofit research group Metra, and they came up with this really clever test. See, it's not about just getting one answer right. It's about endurance. It measures how long an AI can keep up high-quality autonomous work. And the most important part, unlike a lot of other tests, this one has no ceiling. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon for AIs.
Okay, so what's the record? Get this, 4 hours and 45 minutes, almost 5 hours. An AI can perform nearly a full morning of skilled human work in one continuous shot. Think about that. Just a couple years ago, we were talking about minutes, if that. The progress is just staggering.
And this right here is where that super exponential curve really kicks in. This capability is doubling roughly every 4 months. So if we're at 5 hours now, that puts us on track for 10 hours in early 2026, then 20, and potentially a full 40-hour work week by the end of that year. That's not science fiction. That's the trajectory we're on right now.
Okay, so that's the data, the abstract numbers. But how does this actually show up in the real world? Let's talk about the tools you and I can use today, because this isn't theoretical anymore. You know how something just clicks? That's the network effect. It's that moment when a new piece of tech goes from being kind of useful to, how did I ever live without this? It becomes so good, so useful, that its adoption just explodes. It becomes the new standard.
And guess what? We are right at that tipping point. AI coding assistants, for example, are now so incredibly powerful that experts in completely different fields are jumping on board. We're talking law professors, economists. They're using a tool built for programmers to do their high-level work. That's a huge signal that something fundamental has changed.
So what does this all mean for us, for our jobs? Well, it's a huge shift in our role. We're moving from being the person who does all the nitty-gritty, hands-on work to being the director of the show, the supervisor of these incredibly capable AI partners.
And this is all possible because of a super cool concept that actually comes from fighter pilots. It's called cognitive offload. A pilot's attention is their most critical resource, so you let the machine handle as much as possible. Now, we can do the exact same thing with our brain power, freeing us up to focus on what really matters: strategy, big picture thinking, and making the right calls.
And here's why this is such a game changer. The AI we have now is nothing like old school automation. Old tools were like a screwdriver. They did one specific thing. New AI is a general-purpose technology. Think of it like electricity or the wheel. It's a single, flexible tool that you can apply to thousands of different problems across your entire workflow.
So, you put all this together, this insane growth curve and these super-powered co-pilots, and it leads us to the defining question for our careers, coming up very, very soon.
But here's the kicker. Our own brains are kind of working against us here. We all have something called normalcy bias. We're just wired to believe that tomorrow is going to be pretty much like today, even when all the signs are pointing to a massive storm on the horizon. It makes it really hard to prepare for what's coming. And because so many people are stuck in that bias, a new dividing line is being drawn in the sand. It's going to separate people in the professional world. And it's not about what you can do yourself, it's about what you can accomplish with an AI. And that line is this: can you define, assign, and manage a full week's worth of your professional work and hand it over to an AI agent? Can you successfully orchestrate that level of productivity and get a great result? That is going to be the defining skill of 2026. Now, hold on. This isn't doom and gloom. This is not about being replaced. Not at all. It's about being amplified. It's about evolving your skills to manage this incredible new capability. Let's get one thing straight. All that experience you have, your deep knowledge of your field, it's not going anywhere. In fact, it's about to become your superpower. Because you're the one who can guide the AI to do something truly great, not just churn out a pile of mediocre stuff.
So how do you do it? It really boils down to 4 key skills. First, you have to get amazing at defining and assigning the work. Second, you've got to hold these AIs accountable for quality. Third, and this is the big one, applying your unique human taste and judgment. And finally, you become a manager of these AI systems as a whole.
Because at the end of the day, this is what it's all about. The future isn't going to reward you for just checking off tasks. It's going to reward you for taking ownership, for being obsessed with the final outcome. Your job is to make sure the work is not just done, but done with excellence.
So that leaves us with one last question for you. The time to start practicing this skill isn't in 2026, it's right now. The people who start learning how to delegate complex work to AI today are going to have a massive advantage. So the question isn't if you'll do this, but when you'll start. What's the first big, week-long task you're going to hand over?